Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our webinar, How to Use AI to Promote Your Business. This webinar is hosted by the SCORE North Atlantic region, and it's presented by the wonderful presenter, Jennifer DeRosa, who I'll introduce in a moment. I do want to do a little bit of housekeeping because we got a big group here. But first and foremost, this webinar is being recorded. So you will be getting an email later today with a link to the recording as well as the slide deck once the webinar completes. All participants are muted, and we're going to be using the Q&A to ask questions. So Jennifer will be going through her presentation fully, and then feel free to ask questions throughout, but we're going to have a dedicated Q&A towards the end. And I'm going to give folks just a couple more seconds to join. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar, How to Use AI to Promote Your Business. This webinar is hosted by the SCORE North Atlantic region, and it's presented by the wonderful presenter, Jennifer DeRosa, who will introduce in just a moment. This webinar will begin shortly, and the webinar is being recorded, so we will send an email with a recording link and slide deck once the webinar completes. All participants are muted, and we're going to be using the Q&A to ask questions, but feel free to ask questions throughout. We're just going to have a dedicated Q&A at the end. So I want to go over a little bit about SCORE. We're a resource partner of the Small Business Administration, and we help small businesses start and grow by providing training, resources, and free mentoring services. So as you see on the screen, one of our biggest things that we do is we provide free business mentoring. If you haven't already, we highly suggest you apply to work with the mentor. We have over 10,000 volunteers. They can help you with one question in your business. They can help you throughout the life of your business. We also offer low or no cost business training, such as the webinar that you are attending today. And again, if you haven't been on the website recently, we have a whole section for templates and resources. So if you're looking for anything from help with a business plan to operating agreements, we have resources there that you can check out. There's like, I can't even tell you how many pages we have of resources. But without further ado, I'd love to introduce our presenter, Jennifer DeRosa. If you don't mind giving us a little bit about your background, we appreciate you being here today. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks so much, Stevie, and thank you everyone for attending. We've got a really great crowd, which um, tells me that you all are smart people and you're thinking about the right things that need to be thought about when it comes to your online presence. So maybe most of you are business owners, or you do marketing for a business, or you're thinking about starting a business, or you're working for somebody and you're the right-hand person. But if any of you are in one of those positions and you want to make sure that your business stays relevant throughout this major shift we are seeing, this is what you need to know. This is a great place to be. Just a little bit about myself. You should always know who is teaching you. I've been in web development since the 1990s, where I learned how to build websites in HTML, Notepad, code them by hand. After my day job, I took a course in Providence, Rhode Island, just to figure out what this internet thing was. And I created an agency in 2001. I had a prior agency, but 2001 I started Tech Care, and I built that agency over the years, and I sold it in 2021. And I sold it because a lot of people would come to me like you who were, trying to build their new business, and I would give them a proposal to do a website, and they're like, that's just too much for me right now. And you might know what that feels like when you are, starting out. Everything is, if you're bootstrapping it, maybe you're not super well funded. And so you need to do a lot of things and pay attention to those numbers. So I created a course for people like you called Toto Coaching on how to build a website from scratch, from the beginning all the way from the beginning to the end, the strategy and everything, because there's a lot of, if you've tried to build a website and you feel like you failed, I'm going to tell you right now, it is not you. It is the advertising that's being done by the platforms that say, oh, you can just build a website in a weekend. Click, click, click. It's really easy. Use AI to build a website. Click, click, click. It'll build it. Just because you know how to use Word does not mean that you can write a novel like Stephen King. Or just because you have Monet's paintbrushes and all their canvases and stuff, that doesn't mean that you can paint like a masterpiece, right? It's the same thing if you have the software. If you have QuickBooks, how many of you have QuickBooks? Are you accountants or bookkeepers? No. It's the same thing with having the website. You can use the software, but that doesn't mean you're a web developer. So there's a lot of things, and what we're going to be talking about in this webinar is the things that you want to think about putting on your website and doing to your website. And that's what makes you a web developer. So I created the course Toto Coaching to teach people those things. And I've also the Dummy series, if you've heard of the Dummy series, they contracted with me to write the book on building websites. So I have written that book on building websites. So just so you know, you're learning from somebody who's been in this a long time. And after I wrote the book and created the course, I started an agency, Toto SEO. And at Toto SEO, everything you're learning here is what we do for our clients. And so we practice this. Everything I'm teaching you is what we practice every single day. Okay. And I'm also a graduate of a program at MIT University on artificial intelligence and machine learning, because I am probably like you, you're here at a course. I am an avid learner. I am constantly learning. I'm either in a course, taking webinars myself, reading things online, and it's always good to be growing and keeping up with what is going on right now. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. Oh, and by the way, we do have, there is, if you want to scan that, there's a website audit that will help you do some of these things as well. Okay, that is like kind of a cheat sheet that shows you what you can do. I put that together. Okay, so you can scan that and download that resource. Let's talk about what this website's about and what it's not, because there's a lot of things going on with AI in the world. And I'm sure you might go to other webinars and you go to a webinar and you think, oh, I'm going to go for XYZ. And it turns out to be ABC, or turns out to be exactly what you want. So this is what I want to tell you what it is and what it's not. This webinar is about thinking more clearly with AI, improving clarity, structure, and focus, and using AI responsibly and effectively. Okay. This is not a list of AI tools. If you are looking for a bunch of tools, then you can go on my Instagram feed and read the tools that people are offering. Okay. There's plenty of tools out there. You can get those. This is not about replacing humans. Okay. We're not going to be talking about that either. And this is not a shortcut. Okay. Anything that has to do with websites and SEO and GEO, now it's called generative engine optimization. Anything to do with that, if you think it's a shortcut and it's going to be a quick thing and you should be able to, either learn it really quick in one afternoon for yourself or pay someone $300 to do it, is not worth it. That's not what we're talking about anymore. This world of AI and the changes that are happening are actually not, and this is true with most technology, right? It's not giving us more free time to go play pickleball. It's actually giving us more work to do. I'm sorry to say that. But if you know the work that needs to be done and you do it now, you are going to have the upper hand. I feel like right now, where we are is, so I told you I started building websites right back in the 90s. In the early 2000s, when I first formed my agency, right, I was also a Novell engineer, dating myself if you know what that is. That was before Microsoft servers, and I installed GroupWise before Exchange. So back then, we didn't have group email, and there was websites. No one really knew what it was. And I would go around to my clients and I'd be like, you guys should really build a website. 'Cause I need to build websites. And they're like, why? Why do I need a website? I can't tell you how many businesses. Were you in business back then and think the same thing? I'm like, because the internet is here and it's coming, people are going to use it. They're like, I don't know. I don't see the value in it. We're here again. This is deja vu. If you don't do the things that I'm telling you that we need to do in this webinar, or if you watch someone else who's, has a great reputation in the world of SEO and AI, it's called AEO or GEO or AIO. That's all the same thing. Generative engine optimization. It's basically it's the SEO doing the things so that AI understands your website and will cite it when someone's doing a search online. They'll give your website the reference, right? It's called citing your website. You're going to be left out of the list. You're going to be ignored. You're going to be invisible. We don't want to be invisible. We are trying to run our business and we're trying to make a livelihood for ourselves, right? So some of us start using AI and we figure out how we can start using it, but sometimes it gets disappointing, right? Maybe the output sounds generic. Maybe the content looks okay, but it's not really saying a lot of substance, right? And maybe the results aren't usable in the real world, okay? What we're going to be talking about is how to get the information that will really help AI systems and search engines understand your offer in a better, more complete, thorough way. And when AI and search engines understand your offer in a very complete, thorough way, they are more confident citing your website when someone is doing a search for what you offer. Bottom line. Okay? So in order to talk about this, I want you to understand first, how does AI actually understand a business? Okay? How does it work? Here's a big misconception. Most people think AI works like this. You ask a question, you get an answer. Okay? That is not really how it works. Okay? It really looks at the context of what the person is asking. Okay. So what I'm talking about when they're asking, what I'm talking about is when hopefully all of you have used AI, or this is very difficult talking to a large group because some of you maybe haven't used it at all and some of you like use it while you're sleeping. Like, right? So we probably have a big range of where each person's competency is with AI. But hopefully you've gone into either Perplexity or Gemini or ChatGPT or Grok, or you've used like AI mode within a search engine or something, right? You've used something to search for something online. Okay, search for information online. Hopefully you've all done that. When that happens, when you do that search, that's what I'm talking about. You open up, I'm just going to use ChatGPT as example, or Perplexity. You can be like, oh, tell me the best, pool installer near me, or tell me what I should look for when I am getting a pool installed, or whatever, right? You're asking those questions. It's getting context from your question, it's interpreting, and it's giving you output. Okay. It's also getting context. When it gets your context of your question, it's going out and trying to find the same context out on the internet. Okay. If AI doesn't know your business and someone is asking a question that pertains to what your offer is, AI may fill the gaps by guessing, but most likely, okay. And this is actually, I should take this from a point of view of your question. If you ask a question that's very generic, right? Like if I say, okay, so I'm in a very hilly area and I want to get a pool installed, right? I'm in like on some weird slope thing. And I just say, give me information about getting a pool installed. I'm going to get AI doesn't really know what I want, right? It doesn't know, do I want an in-ground pool, above ground pool? Do I want it on a slope? Do I want it in like, what do I want it granite? Do I want fiberglass? Like, what do I want? It doesn't know. So it's going to fill gaps by guessing, right? And when it guesses, you get generic output. Okay. We don't want that generic output. That's not what it wants. And this is why AI feel inconsistent, because some answers will come back and be like, oh my God, that answer was so great. It was easy. I put in the really quick question and I got a quick answer and it was perfect. And other times it feels wrong, or it feels like it's not really full of the information that I want. It's not the tool, it's the information you've given it. Okay. This is why more business context changes everything. AI is going to build over time a working model of your business. It wants to understand what your business does. It wants to understand who you serve. It wants to understand how you describe problems. It wants to understand what matters and what doesn't. And if it doesn't have that information, if you as the business owner or you as the business have not done a good job telling AI systems all of these things and more, AI is going to give a generic answer about your business to someone else if they're asking specifically about your business, or they're going to leave you out of the conversation completely. So we want to think of AI as not just a new tool, but it's an interface for thinking. Okay. So remember, AI interprets context, it reflects clarity, okay, or confusion, either one. Better input, you will get better insight. Okay. Here's an example. This is the same question, it's different context. How should I market my business? Okay. With little context, you get generic advice. Okay. With rich context, like if you ask a longer question and everything, you're going to get advice tailored to your audience goals and constraints. Okay. So why is this important for your business? So this is where I'm talking about right now on maybe you're the customer, the consumer side asking these questions, right? So that's why it's not very good. But you need to think also, this also pertains to the website owners side as well. Okay. It's the same thing. When you're going to decide to write your content for your website, what to put on your website, you want to start by thinking about how AI search is working, right? How people are, if they ask those generic questions, they're going to get bad output. But if they ask very specific questions, you want your website to come up in search, right? You want that to happen. So in order for that to happen, the searcher has to give a very good prompt, but you as a business owner need to provide the information as well. Okay? That's what we're going to be talking about. When a real good company that is going to provide all this rich information on their website, you're going to start with discovery. You need to have a lot of information as like your base information, okay? And I'm going to tell you where to put that next. You want to create for yourself, if you're going to write your content for the internet. I don't care whether it's for your website, for your email marketing campaigns, for your social media campaigns, for advertising that you're going to be doing, for running Google ads, meta ads, creating videos, TikToks, it doesn't matter. If you want to use AI for any of this to help promote your business, you need to start with some base information. You need to feed the models a lot of information about your offer. You should all be doing this. If you haven't done it, you want to do this. If you've already done it, maybe I can fill in some of the blanks and you might get some ideas of what else you need to feed AI. Discovery documents. We do a discovery with every one of our clients. This is the first meeting we have. I sit down for over an hour. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes a little over, and I find out all about their business. How long have they been around? What is their background? Why did they start the company? What certifications do they have? What licenses do they have? Where do they operate? How big is their team? What are their capabilities? What are the reasons that people hire them? What are reasons that people return customers? What, like all this, what is their offer? Like exactly, what is their offer? How long does it take to get started? All of those questions you want to answer on a discovery document. You want to get all of that information down in writing and you want to give that to AI so that it will help you create all this other content for your website. You also want to give AI buyer personas, and everyone has more than one type of buyer. A buyer persona is a semi-fictional representation of your customer. It can be your ideal customer, it can be your worst customer, and it can be all customers in between. Most likely you have multiple types of customers. Okay, so like for example, I have a print shop as one of my clients. They do commercial printing, right? Their main customer is someone who works at a company, right, that does a lot of printing materials. And so that is their main customer. So what do I know about that person? They sit at a desk, they work for a big company. They're probably trying to keep their job or they're moving up the corporate ladder. They probably are constrained by budgets and timelines. Okay. So, and they're also want to look good to their boss, right? So this just very quickly, high level. So what do we need to tell them? Number one, we may need to make them look like a rock star. Our print material needs to be amazing and flawless. And so every time something comes in, the boss says to the person that's hiring us, oh my God, what a great job you did. This feels good. It looks good. It looks perfect. You did a great job. We're making them look like a rock star. Timelines, we're going to get your materials printed on time. So you're going to make those timelines and we are going to do high quality, right? So once we understand the customer, we know what they need, what they're looking for, what their messaging should be on our website. So you want buyer personas, you want to do buyer personas. You can find templates online to help you do a buyer persona. Just look up buyer persona template. There's a lot of them. You should do one for each type of customer. You want to have service definitions. I kind of talked about that in the discovery documents. Go deep into your services. Deep, deep. Tell me everything. Tell AI everything about your business, everything about your services you offer. Everything, everything, everything. You might think there's not a lot to tell. Yes, there is. There's a lot to tell. You can tell a lot about your business and what you do, the service you offer. Okay? So, what do you do with all this information? So say you've created your discovery documents, you've created your buyer personas, created all kinds of information about your services. You've got just your credentials, you've uploaded all, you got all these Word documents, right? Or Google Docs. What do you do with it? Make a project. Almost all of the LLMs, the large language models these days, like ChatGPT and Claude and stuff like that, most of them have areas where you can have a project. Okay, so you can create like a folder, a project. And then within that project, right, the information is stored as kind of like it has memory. The AI has memory within that project, although now AI, some of the have memory throughout all your chats, but there's memory within that project. Okay. So it can reference all the documents. So when you do create more chats within that project, it's going to be able to reference all of the information that you've uploaded. Okay. So you want to put it into these documents into a project. Okay. It's a dedicated workspace. Like I said, it has memory and continuity, and it learns about your business over time. So I have a project for Toto SEO for my own, and that's where I've uploaded a lot of my information. And then what happens is sometimes someone will ask, I'll have a client that asks something strange, or maybe they're asking a difficult question, or I don't know what it could be, something. Once in a while, I will take the question they ask me and I'll put it into ChatGPT or Perplex or whichever tool I'm using in my project, and I'll say, help me answer this question, knowing what you know about my business and everything. What is the best way to answer this question? So once you have your project and all your information in there, you can start using it for a lot of different things, including writing your content. And that's what we're getting at, is writing your content for your website. Okay. So as I mentioned, these projects exist in all of these different large language models. Here's what you want to put in here. Here's your list. What your business does, who your ideal customers are, your services and priorities, your brand voice. You can also put your brand voice. Some of these large language models have an area. I have a tool we use, it's called Joomla, and it has an area for project knowledge. And in there it has enter your brand voice. You can develop a brand voice. Like, do you talk very friendly? Do you want to talk friendly on your website and through all of your marketing materials? Do you want to come across as very authoritative? Okay. Do you want to come across as very maybe like an attorney, like very, serious and non-joking around? Maybe you are a nonprofit and you want to come across as very loving and caring, but very competent. So we want to get that brand voice in there. Okay. How do you talk? The language you use, is there certain words you want to stay away from? I have a client that they create amazing ice cream. It is handmade ice cream. It's in the Dallas area. If you're there, go to Milwaukee Joe's. Oh my God, it is. I can't wait to have it. So they make high fat, small production ice cream. And it's really 15 or more percent to be considered high fat, but he doesn't want to use that percentage. I forgot why. So anyways, we tell our AI project, don't ever mention percentages of fat, only use the word high fat. I don't know why he does that, but anyways, that's an example. Okay. You would say, don't use this language. Okay. And you tell it what you want and what you don't want. Okay. That's AI's reference point. Okay. Once we are starting to think about creating our content for our website, you can use AI to create your website content. Absolutely. It's a very when we started first using ChatGPT, I was like, I don't know if it's such a good idea. I have found it creates amazing results. okay, is not a shortcut because it takes a long time if you do it correctly. So I'm not saying it does it fast. What I'm saying is it does a very, very, very good job if you use it right in the way I'm showing you. Okay. So if we're going to say, write this content for this web page, right? It's going to be fast, shallow, disposable. It's not going to be very good. If we use our project and we come up with a very long prompt of like what we want our website content to read, or we want our social media content, what we want it to say, what we want it to do, what is the result we want, right? If we use the project, we're going to get consistent language, strategic, and it's going to compound over time. It's only going to get better. And one of the things you can do is use instructions, okay, to get better output for writing all of your promotional material, website and everything. Use instructions because AI will default to being nice. It's sycophantic, right? Is anyone, that drives me nuts. I have instructions in my AI. Like, stop, you need to not tell me that I'm doing a great job all the time. I mean, sometimes it's nice to hear that, honestly, right? It's nice to hear that. But like if we're writing for marketing, we don't want to be told that everything we're doing is correct and wonderful because half the times it's not. We want it to be hard on us, right? We want it to be difficult so we can get a better result. If you don't guide AI, it's going to agree with you. It's going to avoid friction. It's going to stay surface level. And if you stay surface level with your content on your website, you're back at what I just talked about. You're back in that generic area where AI doesn't really know what your offer is, and they're never going to recommend it to anyone. We have to get granular, okay? Generic without instructions, generic AI is polite, safe, and generic, and with instructions, it's analytical, critical, and it's tailored to your goals. Okay, so instructions tell AI how critical to be, how deep to go, what to challenge, what to avoid. Okay, they're like guardrails. Okay, and this is the way to use them the right way. Okay. So you're going to give instructions to guide how AI is thinking. All right. Like if you're saying, I want you to write this social media post, or I want you to write this content for my about page, right? You're going to give it prompts to ask you questions. Okay. So basically you're going to give it the context, which is all of your project information. You're going to give it the instructions of how to behave or not behave and the brand voice to use and the things to do and not to do. You're going to give it a prompt and you're going to get better output. This is how it works. Okay. Here's some examples. The same question, very different results. How should I improve my website? In what way? In what way? There are other instructions you can use, and I'm going to give you some right now, and you can write them down if you want. These are, I've given you like just some examples here, right? The instructions look like this: / no autopilot, / audience, who's your audience, / tone, direct, or whatever you want, right? / format as, and then how do you want it formatted? Your results, okay? So if you do this in your prompt at the beginning, you give it instructions. I'm going to show you some more instructions you can give it. If you give it those, and then you say, based on the website content below, identify what is unclear, missing, or confusing. That is much better than how should I improve my website? Can you see the value in that? Okay. Let's go over some more usage examples. Okay. Here are some things you can use. /ELI5. Explain like I'm 5. If you have a very complicated industry and you need to speak to your audience in a much more simple way, okay? Kind of, I feel like SEO or GEO is kind of like that as well, right? Okay. You want to use it when something feels confusing or over technical. So you can do /ELI5. Explain what schema markup is and why it matters for a small business website. That's a great prompt. Okay. I've given it instructions, ELI5, and I've asked it a question that's a little more in depth. Okay. /TLDR. You probably have seen this. What does TLDR mean? Too long, didn't read. Okay. You'll see that if you don't know that now, that's a big one. You should know that because you'll see that a lot of places. Okay. TL, usually they put a semicolon DR. Okay. Usually want to point the fast. If someone writes you a really, really, really long email, or you have a really, really long, maybe you're doing an RFP for something, or you've got some really long case study or white paper, something you have to read or look at, whatever. If you just want to get the quick points fast, this is great. TLDR, summarize why my website messaging might be confusing to my customers. Great idea. How about step-by-step / step-by-step? Use it when you need a process, not ideas. Show me how to audit my website homepage for clarity. You're going to get a numbered, repeatable workflow. It's a great one to use. Step-by-step. / checklist. Oh, this is so good. Use it when you want something executable. Like / checklist. Create a checklist to see if my service pages are clear to first-time visitors. You're going to get an action-oriented list you can actually follow. How about / exec summary? Use it when you need a process, not idea. Summarize the risks of relying only on AI-generated content for my website. You're going to get high-level strategic implications, okay? Strategy, not the checklist. You're going to get the strategy. ACT / ACT, that's action mode. Use it when you're already understanding the why. It's like, tell me exactly what to fix on my homepage first. Okay, so you're going to get direct next steps, minimal explanation. And here's the last two I'm going to give you. Okay, there's more that, oh, I have that as a duplicate slide. I was going to change that. Okay, sorry about that. So I missed that one. So let's talk about why this matters. Right? So I've let you, hopefully you understand why we're being specific in our prompts, right? We're being specific in our prompts to get information that will help us create better content for our social media, for our website, for our email marketing, for our online presence, okay? So when you do these things, okay, when you create your project knowledge base, you prime AI with a lot of information. When you use really good prompts, okay, you use some instructions, you use the brand voice and everything, you have uploaded your customers, you know with a why, what's the differentiators they're looking for, all right? Your blog content improves, your research gets sharper, your strategy feels intentional, okay? So let's talk about this from context, clarity, output. This is the flow, everything follows. You're going to give it the business context, you're going to give them the customer clarity, you're going to give it structure and signals, and then the output. Most people just do the output. They just go into AI and start asking questions. They don't do the top 3 things, okay? And this is important before we do all of these things. You want to understand, which I think we understand now, AI is rewarding clarity and structure. They're not rewarding effort. Okay, so now we're going to apply this foundation to our website, to our content, to our daily work, everything. AI can help you see your website like a first-time visitor. It can help you identify unclear messaging, and it can surface missing trust signals. A lot of people are missing these things on their website. It's difficult when if you've created your own website and your own content, it is, I'm going to tell you, even from my point of view, when we're in it, it's very difficult to understand how people are seeing it from the outside. So AI is very helpful for us to be able to see our website through other people's eyes, okay? That is what we are trying to avoid, and we are trying to be clearer, because when we are clear about your business and AI understands it better, they are more likely to cite your website when someone is looking for your offer. So, as I mentioned before, look at my website and tell me how it is. No role, no criteria, no useful insight. Good prompt example, your potential customer visiting this website for the first time. Based on the content below, and you can copy and paste a page from your website. It doesn't have to be your home page. It can be a service page. It can be about page, whatever page you want. You should do this for all the pages of your website. Who's this business for? What problem does it solve? What would make you hesitate to content them? Here is the website content. Then you paste your content. Do you see the difference between this, look at my website and tell how it is, and this one? You're telling it who they're supposed to be and giving it real hard questions. And you've already told it in instructions not to be nice. You want to ignore the compliments. You want to look for confusion, pay attention to hesitation, okay? This is the content. Now we're talking about creating this content for our website. The biggest content mistake that people are making are they're asking AI to produce before thinking. How many people have contacted you that are SEO agencies are like, oh, we'll write you like, a blog a day and it'll cost you whatever, $300. And or maybe you just had all these blogs written before and they never, the people writing the blog post for you never interview you, don't know about your business. They write generic articles. I have a client that came to me. They had over 600 blog posts that they paid someone to write that were in their Google Search Console. Google Search Console is free. If you've not set it up, you need to set it up on your web, connect it to your website. It tells you a lot about how people are finding you in search. It doesn't tell you about AI search, but it tells you about Google search, which is still relevant. And basically, a lot of the same things translate from Google into AI. So there's an area where you can see what pages on your website are in Google's index. That means if it's in Google's index that Google knows about it, and sometimes when someone is searching it will include it in the blue links. If it's not in the index, Google's never going to include it in the blue links. That means the page is like wasted effort, invisible. So you definitely want to go in to Google Search Console and see if some of your pages are not being indexed. And the area where you go is in page indexing, and you look under discovered, currently not indexed, or crawled, currently not indexed. That means Google knows about it or has crawled it and read it and been like, yeah, that's crap. That's crap. That's crap. It's a generic article. Top 10 things to do to make my house, ready for sale. How many times has that article been written on the internet? If there's nothing unique about it, it's called helpful content. If there's no helpful content in it, it's going to ignore it. It's going to not even put it in its index. Do you have content like that on your website? Did you publish or pay someone to do content like that that is not even in the index? That means it's generic and it's not helpful. And if you're using AI to write it without giving it all what I'm telling you, the discovery, all that other information, that's what you're going to get. And you're going to put it on your website and be like, oh, I used AI to do all my stuff. And then AI is going to read it and it's going to be like, that's crap. Google's going to read it. That's crap. All the search engines read it. That's crap. And it's not going to help you. So you want it to help you. Okay. Here's write a blog post about my business. Here's a good one. My ideal customer often feels confused about. Help me identify the questions they're asking about, but not saying out loud, the misconceptions they likely have, the content topics that would build confidence. Don't write the content yet. But I want you to identify all this. Have you thought about using AI in this way? Maybe you have, and that's great. If you haven't, do you see the value in this? AI is best at clarifying your ideas. Sometimes it's difficult as a business owner. I just said that to let people know what your offer is in a clear way, because we have all of this knowledge in our head and we're like, why don't you understand what I'm saying? People may not have that. So it's good to get this third party look at your website, right? It's good for structuring your thoughts and it's good for improving readability. Okay. Then humans will read your content and decide what matters. So let's talk about when we say why content alone. I'm just talking about words on a page. You want to have context, which is the same thing, okay? Because businesses say many things. We say many, many different things in different ways, right? Our website probably only reflects some of them. How many of you, when you built your website or want to build a website, I want it clean and beautiful. I don't want a lot of content on there. And how many of my customers, when we write content for our clients, our service pages are 2,000 words long. Not for the sake of being long, but because we're including all of this stuff that I'm talking about to you in their service pages. And if you have a bad web designer or you're doing it and you're not a web designer, when you take all that content and just put it on your website, it probably will look very cluttered and long and just a lot, right? And if But if you have a good web designer or you know how to do it, you can take a lot of content and make it look beautiful. So many people come to me and they're like, I don't want, who's going to read this? I don't want to, I want it to look clean and beautiful. I can make a ton of content look clean and beautiful because this is what my field is. Okay. That's what we do. So it can be done. Don't think you need to limit your web pages to only a little bit of stuff because no one's going to read it and I want it to look beautiful. Number one, AI will read it. Google will read it, and you want to get returned in search, right? So they have to understand everything about your business. So put it on there for AI, okay? And then the second thing, I believe, I believe in a couple years, we're rarely going to visit websites, human beings. I just think that. I just think we're going to rarely, we'll visit it to look at a portfolio or whatever. For the most part, we're not going to visit websites anymore. So we still want to focus on design. I just looked at a design we're doing for a new client today and it looks beautiful. I love beautiful design, but you got to focus on the content. It's content first. It's a content first. It's a content first. Okay. When we're writing this content for our customers, this is how we reduce the guesswork. We reduce it with all those things that I'm talking about, the discovery documents, the buyer personas. We also do something what's called entity mapping. I'm not talking too much about that here because we're really talking about using AI, right? But you want to make sure you know all the entities that you need to mention on your website. I do other webinars for SCORE. You can come to one of them. I talk about entities a lot in there. I'm not going to go too deep. Also, we don't have enough time, but you want to do topic mapping and you want to think about the intentional structure. Do you know that you can also use AI to do customer market research that will help you create better content for your website? Okay, it's not a live database and it's not a lead list generator, but it's really good at structuring your research sometimes and narrowing your focus. So, for example, you might say, "Oh, that's a good idea. Give me a list of customers who would buy my service." Not a good one. Based on this description of my business, list the type of companies likely to need this service. Include their industry, their company size range, and their pain points. That's a better prompt, right? And now what you'll do with that is you're going to get all this information about customers. And maybe there's a segment that you're not even focusing on your website or in your social media, or you've forgotten about, or you didn't even think about. Use this for doing customer research. And then after you get back, you do this type of prompt, right? Based on this description of my business. Put it in, list the type of companies likely to need this service and include their industry, company size range, and pain points, right? This is what you can do. Turn it into a table. This is awesome. Now you can have a table with their company name, their website, their industry, their size, why this company might be a good fit. And then you can have a column because you need to validate. You cannot just take everything that it's saying and use it because it hallucinates when it doesn't have real good answers, right? Unless you've told it in the instructions to never, never, never hallucinate, and you have prompts that do Q&A that check it, recheck it, okay? Turn it into a table. And now you can upload that table to your project knowledge, right? So now you can now AI, when it's writing more content, knows who it's talking to, all right? You can use AI for productivity and workflow as well. Okay. Rewrite this email. No tone, no, like whatever it's going to do. It doesn't know what to do with it. Rewrite this email. Here's the audience. Okay. This is like maybe a campaign you're going to send out to your list, right? It's a busy business owner. The tone is clear, calm, and professional. The goal is to confirm next steps without sounding pushy, right? Here's the draft. It can give you a draft to you can give it a draft so that it has something to start with. Okay. So we can use it for productivity. Okay. Let's talk about your website and then I'm going to take some questions. So let's just think about everything that we've been talking about, right? So we've been talking about priming AI with a lot of information, creating a project, right? We're basically what we're doing. If you go to Toto SEO, you will see on the homepage, I have 3 words. Train the models. You want to train the models on your business. It is like remember scanners? I don't know if we still scan stuff in. People still do it. If you have a bunch of papers, you scan it into the computer, right? You scan it into your database, you scan stuff into your system. Maybe you scan receipts into an app, whatever, we're scanning it in. So then you have all your information in there. You need to scan your business into AI. And how you do that is scan it into AI, right? Get your output, put that on your website. Your website is the scanner. The website is training the models. That is how all this data prediction works. You create a model and you separate your data set into two sets, training and testing set. You train the model on the training set, and then you run the testing set to see if you got the right output. You are doing the same thing. You are training the models. Here is what you need to think about when you are putting content on your website so you train it correctly and efficiently and in the best way possible. AI reads your website. It extracts meaning. It's not looking at your beautiful fonts and your colors and all of that stuff. It's not. Doesn't care about that. It's looking for hierarchy and intent. Okay. That means your heading structure is correct. The way that you format your pages, you want one H1 per page, and the H1 should be the first heading on the page, not the second or the third or the fourth, the first one. And that heading 1 should not be cutesy. It should tell AI, what am I going to find on this page? It's like an outline we did in school, okay? When we did in middle school, it is the main topic, and it tells, so when AI reads that heading 1, it's going to know what the content it should find on the page or what it should be expecting, okay? And it wants the hierarchy. It wants headings in structured order. It doesn't want them out of order, okay? It doesn't want an H1 and then an H3. No, we do H1, H2, then H3. Then we can do an H4. We can go back to H2 or put another H3, but we can't put an H5. Structure, that's one example of the structure I'm talking about, tells AI what matters most, okay? And it matters more than your design. These headings define the meaning. You also need to have a main area. You need to have reading mode on. If your website does not have reading mode turned on because of the way that it was built, and by the way, I am shocked at how many web developers create websites with no main area. I can show you if we have time how to determine if you have that. But basically, if you go into, this is in Safari, I'm in here, and if you go up to view and then you go to show reader, it will show you here. It will, I don't know if you're seeing it. You probably don't. It will show you what, oh, hold on one second. Oh, did I lose my presentation? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just showing your Canva now.
Yeah, one second. Present, 1 second. We're at the end. That was so weird. I've done that before in webinars and it's never happened. Can you see it now? You see it now, right?
Yes, it's showing. Yep, I see it now. It looks good.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm trying to show you something fun. But anyways, I've done it before. I didn't do that. Okay, so structure matters more than meaning, and you need to have this main area on your website. You need to have reading mode turned on. Okay, you can try it. There's a lot of ways. Look up how to do reading mode. Okay, you need to make sure. So if you have it looking beautiful without the structure, it's going to be very confused, okay? This main area, I bring this up as a separate slide, is very important. AI can read pages if you didn't do the structure correctly. Like if you created it on your own and you're like, I don't know what she's talking about right now. Or I had someone I hired to do the website. I'm assuming they did it right. Well, do not assume they're doing it right. Most people do it wrong. Just telling you. Even people I hire, I fire most of them because most of them don't understand this. And this is like basic 101. And because everyone's been told, oh, you can just build a website in a weekend. So all these web developers are out there because they know how to use the software, but they don't know how to do this. And you don't want to be the recipient of paying for something and they've done a terrible job, right? We don't want that. So you want to make sure you have a main area and reading mode that works, okay? You want to make sure you have structure on your website. You want to make sure There's also something called schema markup we didn't go over, but you want to have schema markup on your website. That's more structure. You need to have structure on your website. It needs to be built in a technical way on the back end. Like if I looked at the website, I could see if it was technically built correctly. If you are not a web developer, you might not know. But that is very important for AI to understand what your offer is. So if you have just a beautiful looking website, but there's no structure to it, like all these designers want to make all this flashy stuff. I dealt with someone recently and they were like, custom coding this website. It looked beautiful. All this stuff was coming in and going out, and I got these things highlighting and moving around. Well, that looks really cool. You know what? AI could not read one word of the website. So why, if you're in business, would you want that? You would never want that. You want AI to understand your website. We are scanning in. We got to scan in. We don't need to put on a show. We need to scan in now. We're changing because if we're never going to visit websites, like I think, who cares what the design looks like? Although I still like design, don't get me wrong. Okay. But you can't only care about that. You have to care about this other stuff. Okay. Here's what I hope you're coming away with. The AI amplifies clarity, AI exposes confusion, and AI rewards structure. Make sure everything that you do online has extreme clarity. Okay. And make sure that there's structure. Okay. On your website. Don't use AI for finding factual authority because remember, it does hallucinate a lot. It can help you define your brand voice, but you need to work on that, okay? And don't use it for anything you wouldn't review yourself. Here's a bonus, okay? This just came out. I just got this email the other day from SEMrush, okay? This is what they said. Why does AI cite some content and ignore the rest? According to our data, here's what actually improves citation likelihood. It is exactly what I just talked to you about in this webinar. Clarity and summarization. Clear, 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 clear. That comes from you creating all that base content, uploading it into a project, and using that very specific information to create your website content. That's number one, okay? EEAT signals, which is experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. Those are very important. And if you are in the YMYL space, which is your money, your life, that means like healthcare, financial, anything that can affect your life. If you have that kind of business, you are definitely governed by EEAT. And if you don't show your EEAT, you are not going to get mentioned anywhere at all. So that includes things like reviews. It includes things like showing all of your credentials, all of your degrees, all of your licenses, all of your associations, everything you're involved with. Put it on your website. Put it all very clearly. Don't bury it in a paragraph. Put it on. Very important. EEAT signals. And then some of these other things, right? This is what really matters. But I don't see design on here. Do you? I don't see that. Okay. When you think about your website today, later on after this, would AI understand what my business actually does? If it does, then great, you've done a good job. If there's some gaps, fill them. Is my online presence clear or just full? Do you have just tons of social media posts that don't mean anything or tons of pages on your website that aren't saying anything? They're very thin content, maybe a paragraph. It's not being clear. It's just content. Okay. And then am I using AI to think or just to type faster? We wanted to use it to strategize. Okay. So now I'll take some questions if any of you have them.
Absolutely. We got a big group of questions. So first and foremost, thank you so much. I know that was a lot of information, so people got some specific ones. I am going to start from the top so I don't skip anyone. So I do apologize if it feels a little out of order. But someone did ask at the beginning there, what is the relevance of EEAT and when to use it? So great question. You kind of just spoke about it. If you wouldn't mind giving a little more.
Yeah. So again, that stands for experience, expertise, authority or authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So AI systems and Google search. Okay, here's a good example. I love using this example because do you remember like it must have been in the 90s? No, it wouldn't have been it was probably the early 2000s. There was a woman in like Miami somewhere, and she was going around with a little cooler, one of those little coolers, and in it she had Fix-A-Flat and some cement and other stuff, and she was putting it into people's butts to get big butts, right? So she's not a doctor. Okay. So search engines would, if she had a website up, right, saying, "Hey, do you want a big butt? I'll help you do it." No, it's AI, that falls under YMYL, your money, your life. They'll never recommend that website. Never, right? Because it's not okay. So if you are a doctor or any kind of clinician or in the healthcare, you must show all your associations, all of your credentials, all of your everything, so that because Google doesn't know you. They don't come over your house and knock on your door and understand if you're trustworthy or not. So, and neither does AI. If you don't show that on your website very clearly, and that includes, like I said, reviews or brand mentions, people talking about you on the internet and everything like that. AI systems will take that all together. That's EEAT, and you want to show that on your website so that you're more likely to get recommended. Okay, in search. It's just basically showing your trustworthiness, well, and your authority, that you have authority and that you have experience and you have expertise. It shows all of those things. Did I answer that?
Excellent. Oh, you did. Sorry. I forget that I mute myself, so I'll start
That's
talking.
okay.
So someone asked, for this buyer persona that you were speaking about, is that also the buyer avatar? Are
Yes,
those?
yes, yep. Some people call it avatars. Yeah, it's a different vernacular. Yes, yes, same thing. And there's templates online that you can get. And by the way, just can I just mention that something about that? Another thing that AI does not like is if you use different words on different pages to describe the same thing. So let's use this as an example. If you have one page and say that's what you do, you create them. That's your business, creating buyer personas. If on one page you call it avatars, on another page you call it a persona, and another page you might call it something else, AI is going to get confused. So you want to use the same language across all of your pages to describe the same thing. That's very important, actually. That's a big deal. So I'm glad kind of you asked that question. See, hold on. See how you were confused as a human being? Is that the same thing? Well, AI is going to get just as confused. And guess what it does when it's confused? You're invisible. It'll be like, I don't know. I'm never gonna return them in search. I'm never gonna return them when someone is searching for what they're, I'm not gonna cite them. It's the same thing. That's a very good example.
Someone asked, in your opinion, is it better to use projects in, say, like ChatGPT or to create a custom GPT or AI? Yeah, is it better to use projects or create a custom GPT if I'm using ChatGPT, at least for this project?
Yeah, so I have a client that's created their own GPT and he's training his change. He's really into it. So he has a lot of time and that's what he does all day long. And he's made it. So yes, you can also, and some people might not know what that is, but that's a little more technical. But yes, you can also train the GPT too, as well. Projects is kind of like level one. It's very easy. You just upload all your documents into, the project.
Sense. Um, Someone asked, would my AI project content, do you know if it would still be recognized, utilized on the internet, even if I stop or pause the subscription?
Do you mean like, can everyone see? You can't, look, as far as I know, it is not, they don't publish your information. It's not, there are companies that are worried that if they put I think understanding this
Mhm.
correctly, if they put information into AI, that if it's proprietary, that it will get out. Like I'm not OpenAI and I am not Anthropic, so I'm not going to guarantee anything about that. But from what I understand is the projects are your proprietary information that stays. It's not publishing that on the internet unless you choose to publish one of your chats, which you can. I have a couple published chats. That means they're shared on the internet and they're available. I don't worry about that, but like I said, I'm not OpenAI, so
You can't speak to that. That's fair. I think too, maybe there, just to clarify, I think there might be a little confusion for some folks. When you're talking about the project part of, say, ChatGPT specifically, or any of these AI, this is what you're feeding it in order to understand your business, correct? This is internal. And then what the content it produces is what you then copy and paste to put on your website. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. I'm sorry if that
Perfect.
was unclear. That is exactly right, Stevie. Yeah.
Perfect. Someone asked, they'd love to understand your opinion and like how working with AI for a website maintains individuality and authenticity for the business owner. Like it's not just regurgitating generic.
Oh, we never publish something that's directly from AI. We always have human input, always. So you need to put human input. You got to read through it. Is it writing it in the language that you normally speak? Is it being clear? Is it your brand voice? And if it's your information, it's your specific service, it's not generic, right? We don't want it to be generic. That's the last thing we want. If you want to win with AI, the more specific and unique content you can put on your website, the better results you'll have.
Excellent. And this might be a specific to what is that ChatGPT's creator, but when it tells you to clear memory, there's that fear that if you're clearing the memory, is it going to erase all the work that you've already done? How do you make sure that you're not having to start over again?
Oh, I don't ever clear my memory, so I can't really answer that. Yeah.
That is probably why I have multiple counts. Okay. That one, sorry guys, if it is really specific to the tool tech, that might be more on their end. But let me find another question. Someone was asking, how do you manage these chats efficiently on a broad project? So, for example, if I'm building my site, I may have many work streams, but if I put them in one chat, it's hard to track and maintain the thread. Do you know, like when you separate chats, does it automatically link them together? How is that
Oh,
working?
I think I understand the question. So AI just recent, I don't know, maybe it wasn't recently. If you were working on a chat, it gets really long and the chat does degrade. It is getting a bigger token window now. So it can handle more tokens, which is how it reads letters. But anyways, so it could handle more information now than it could when it first came out, right? And that's only going to continue to handle more information. But it used to be when you were on one chat, right? And then you opened up a new chat, the other chat knew nothing about this chat. I think they were saying that. So now the way that at least OpenAI works, ChatGPT works is and also most of the LLMs, it can read the other. So in your but it's good to stay within the project to keep it organized. So and that's another reason that I do a project because I have all my clients different projects, and so I know if I want to go to see the other chats that I've done for this particular one, or I want to look up a chat that I remember. Oh, I remember I was chatting about something. Where is that one? I can go right to the project. It's like a folder, just like in your computer, and then I can see all the chats, and those are like files. So you can do multiple chats now within the folder, within the project, and they all talk to each other. So it's good. Some applications, I use this application called Joomla, and Joomla allows me to fork the chat. So what that means is like if I've had a really long chat, and then like at this point, it's like generic information. At this point, it gets specific. And I'm like, oh, I want to get specific about something else. I can go back to that earlier point in the chat and I can fork it, which means I start a new chat and it'll have all that top information, but the bottom information won't be there. That's called forking the chat. So that's another thing you can do if it gets really long.
Someone was wondering for, these prompts that you had provided, so the project-based prompts, is this something you could also do on the AI options within the website developer? So like they gave an example that Wix has an AI option within their website um, development. Is that where you can also put prompts? Do you know?
Oh, probably. I don't know a lot about Wix as we don't use it. That's more of a DIY thing. So most web developers don't use Wix. Also, it doesn't really have good schema markup and there's a lot of issues with it. But so I don't know that, but probably I don't know how good that. So what you want to do, anytime you have a tool that's using AI, right, to help you write your content or something, I'm just saying this off the top of my head, what I would want to know is what model is behind, behind that, behind the AI responses you're getting. So, because the models act differently. I personally like Claude best for writing. I think it does a really good job of writing content. I like the voice it uses, etc. If I'm doing research online, I like Perplexity. Perplexity is better. It uses, well, they all use RAG now, but it does a very good job of going out and finding content on the internet. So there's different, you would want to know what is the model behind if you can find out the what the tool that you're using. And you know what, maybe it's good. I don't know. I don't know how good it is. It might be good.
Yeah. And it might be worth trying the same prompt in that one versus another one and seeing if the output is,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh
good.
yeah, I do that a lot. If you are not sure which one to use, even use the free versions. Try the same exact prompt in multiple applications and see which one you comes back come that you like, that feels best to you, that's more complete. That's a very good idea to do. Yeah.
Someone was asking, and again, these questions were kind of at the beginning, so we might even just look at the slide, but someone was asking, like, what is the best way to start that conversation? Like, am I just simply like, was that part of that prompt when I want to get that information about, give it the information about my business? How do I start it?
Oh, yeah. So that's a really good question. So, when we get a new client, we need to start off. So that's like we're always starting off. So I'll just tell you our process, what we do with our clients, and then you can take what you want from it. So the first thing that we do is we do a discovery, and I take a transcript of our meeting. I ask a lot of questions. I record it. I get the transcript. Transcripts are your friend. Transcripts are amazing. I love transcripts. So I take the transcript, I start a lot of prompts with transcripts. And say you are doing this for yourself, right? You know how you can get a transcript? I don't have my phone here. Then that's my phone. Who has an iPhone or an Android? Put on the recorder, talk into it, or put on notes, which is speech to text, right? So it'll type it all, right? Walk your dogs, walk around the neighborhood, drive to work, talk all about your business, just chat, talk, unload. Then, if you've got an audio file, you need to get it transcribed. Although now, a lot of these LLMs can listen to it and get the transcription out of it. Or if you've done speech to text, you'll have the transcription, right? Take the transcription of your interview on Zoom or however else you've got it, right? Feed that in. That's how you make a project and start off and say, you can start saying, I'd like to create, a really nice discovery document, or I'd like to get some insights out of this. What do you think are the most important things? You can just start off with loading it up with content for the first thing, right? And then you can also take that transcript and put it into your project knowledge. So it's persistently there, not only on a chat. Like you can start with it on one chat if you want to, but then you can also put it in the project knowledge. And then, like over time, as you're asking AI to do different things with your transcript or new information, and it makes a table, like I showed you, like maybe a table or whatever, you can download that as a Google Doc or a Word doc or what have you. And you can put that up in your project knowledge. So over time, you just keep adding and adding and adding to it. So I would start, if I were doing this, it's how we start with our clients, to start with a transcript. Or some people like to type. They don't like to talk as much. They're better at typing out what's in their brain. You can type it out. Type it out. Start with something, whatever way is easiest for you to get what's in here onto the computer. Now, one other thing I want to mention before we move to the next question is another thing you can do is if you already have paid to have, or you've made brochures about your business, or you've made other marketing materials about your business, or you have white papers, or you have case studies, or you have testimonials from clients, anything you have around your office, look around your office, right? Papers, whatever, get that into your project. That's all great material, all this material. If you've had a business for 10 years, you had to have created a lot of content already. Find it all. Give someone that job, an intern. Have them find it all and upload it all to your project knowledge. That's another way to start.
Awesome. So a couple people were asking when you said that a lot of these AI can actually, you put your website link and it can actually review it. So people were saying, is that a thing now? Because I think, like you've
Yes.
mentioned, it's changing, and before it didn't used to be a thing. So to confirm, AI, some of these AI can actually evaluate your website. And are they evaluating just that page link that you sent, or do they go through each of, like, if you have a services, about me, contact, is it going through that? And also, does it see the pictures and anything like that? Can you speak more to that?
Yeah, so it's not going to see all the design in the pictures and stuff like that. So that's why, like, if you have images with text in them, oh, that used to be the thing that we used to do before when I first started building websites, we had really hardly any pictures. And then when we would have images and you wanted words in the image, you had to do it in Photoshop and you uploaded the image with the words. And it is like, if your web developer did that, they are stuck in 2004. Get rid of them. Now you have the image and you have the text on top. AI will read the text on top. It's not going to read the image. Okay. So when it goes through your site, first of all, you have to make sure it can read your website. So, I mean, like I can show a tool. Do you want me to show a tool that you can use to see if your website, do you want me to show you one? Can
Yeah.
read it? I can, let me just open a new window here in Chrome because it
Like,
needs to,
could we
okay.
use even like
Yep.
score.org? Just see if it even.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. So when you come here, no here. Oh, sorry, it pulled up my contributor. I'm just looking at it. Let's just
Well, thanks for reviewing it. We wanted to make sure it was right.
yeah, I was looking at it the other day because that is, hold on, that is an EEAT signal for me. And it's also one of the reasons that I do the SCORE presentations because this is all volunteer. Most of the SCORE people, by the way, if you guys go to get help from SCORE, most of the people are volunteering. There are people on staff, but most people are volunteers and they're giving their time, right? So I never get paid for this. I do my own time for this. And so this is something that we do. So I use this as helping me show my EEAT. Okay. That is a perfect example of that. Yeah, I want that, that profile online. Okay, so anyways, we come in here, okay, and I have this extension. It's called Wave. Wave is really for accessibility, but it will tell you a lot of information. So let's click on Wave. You got to get this extension, and then you can come over here to structure. And this is wrong. So, okay, so it's kind of right and wrong. Do you see H2? Score login menu should never be first. So this is wrong. So this should be in H1 first. So this is a problem. And why do we have a main menu should not be in H2? I should be able to read your headings down the page and know what you do. So right now I don't even know. I know it's score, login, and main menu. Sign up for the menu. Do you see this area here that says main? This is what's important. This is what you want to look for. You want to look for something that says main and it has this kind of icon. AI starts reading here. This is where it's going to start reading. So now I've got an H2, which is not correct.
Oh no.
What is
Just
going
opened
on?
up a can of worms for my organization.
No, that's all right. They should be checking this. Okay, look, here's the other thing. Let's do this. Let me move some things around my screen. Excuse me. Come over here. Come down to more tool. Where's more tools? It disappeared. More tools, reading mode. This is how AI reads your website. This is what AI is reading. Start strong. So this is where you want to go. So you can make sure, go into Chrome and go to these things, the ellipses and go to more tools and go to reading mode. Do you see this here? This is good. This is what AI is reading. AI is reading this. Now, Safari has a different reading mode than Chrome, so I'm not sure of the differences or whatever. So check both, check Safari and Chrome. Okay, these are browsers reading AI, reading the main area. This is not AI reading, but if you can't see anything in here, most likely AI cannot read anything either. And I go to a lot of websites that this is blank, that this is empty here, that is not, there's nothing here. It's blank. Like I wish I had another website I could go to. I don't want to like out anybody, but
That's okay. The other thing though, is that, but like say you're using maybe Claude or Perplexity or ChatGPT, so you're using the actual tool itself. Can you link your website in there and say, please read it? Or is this that you have to have a extension on your browser?
yeah, no, no, no. If you want to, no. So in when you create a project in ChatGPT, okay, I'll just say that about ChatGPT, right? If you create a project in there, there is an area. Let me just make sure I'm not confusing it with Joomla because I use so many tools. One second. So if I'm going to just look at one of my projects in another window here. One second. So in here, hmm, project settings. So you have in your, here, I'll just show you, I'll switch to this screen. This is my project settings, right, for my Toto SEO. So I don't have instructions in here. I have instructions somewhere else, but I probably should add them. So this is a good reminder. So here's my project name. Here's the instructions. So here, like it gives you some examples. Respond in Spanish, reference the latest JavaScript documentation, keep answers, whatever your instructions are. And then here are your files, okay? So here is where you would upload your discovery documents, your buyer persona, and stuff like that. Okay, and you can just add them here. And then here's your memory. So, yeah, that's not doing anything here. But this is what you can put up here. Now, in Joomla, which is a tool that I use, it's a tool over here that I use in our projects. We have lots of projects, and then in projects here, we have what's called when I set. So it depends on the software you're going to use, but if you do a new project, right, it gives you some information, and then you have in here an area where you can add the website up there. So I don't know, I can't remember if they all work a little bit differently, but you can add
Yeah.
that like in the instructions and everything right there.
Got it. So it might just be a matter of checking out the free options website and then seeing, like asking it, because they usually, like even the AI itself will tell you, like, yes, I can do that, or no, I don't have that ability.
Right. Oh,
Uh,
and I think you asked if it reads the whole website. So it has to have that main area. And what also helps it read it better is structured data or schema markup. If you have that on your website, it helps you read it better. And it will read all the pages on your website. It will do that if you ask it to do that.
and someone was wondering in that same vein of website, do you know by chance if any of these AI currently are able to look and review your social media?
Well, most social media has a paywall, so
Yeah.
it's a little more difficult. That means that it's, you have to have access. Like if you have an Instagram account that's protected, it's not going to be able to read that. So that's the most, I don't really use it for that. So I just know people have asked that question before, and in general, if it's behind a paywall, it's going to be more difficult to read that content.
That makes sense. Someone was asking, they said, I own two very different businesses. Do you have recommendations for how I should manage feeding AI both those businesses?
Just choose separate projects or be very clear when you're working on one or the other. And if they're very separate, hopefully it's not under one website. Hopefully you have two websites for it if they're very different.
Excellent. Someone was asking, like, how are you verifying the data that AI produces? So, like you did mention earlier that you don't just immediately take what it says and then publish it. But like, what do you do? What's kind of your rule of thumb when you're going through what it publishes or what it creates?
Yeah, there's a couple ways. So one way is obviously to check. So we were helping a client of ours. We're launching her website today, and she has like a little data. She helps people get placed in assisted living or in, memory care or whatever. If the parents are living somewhere and the kids are living somewhere else and they need help, so the kids call up and like, can you help? My mom needs this, this, and this, and this. Can you help us find a place? So that's what she does. So we're putting like a little mini database on her website of all of the different assisted living and memory care and board and care and CCRC places that that are in the area that she would work with. That helps AI understand her business in a better way. Not only that she does all this stuff, when she puts the database of these on there, it's going to be like, it's going to connect her business to all of those facilities. Okay, so we're giving it more, we're training the models. So one of the things we tried to do was get it pre-filled. It is so wrong. It's so wrong. Like some of it is right, some of it's right, some of it is not at all correct. So you have to check. Remember what I said in the very beginning, or did I say it yesterday? AI, like when I use AI, I don't, it's not making everything faster and quicker and easier. So we can be like, I mean, it is kind of, but it's actually giving us more work to do and it's making us better thinkers. But so we still have to have this human intervention. We still have to have a human intervention in there to check. You need to check it. So that's one thing I do. Well, I'll physically go check, physically look it up. Like sometimes it'll give you links to articles and there's no, it's 404 page not found. You have to check all that. Okay. So that's first of all. The second thing, what we do is because we write a lot of content using AI, right? Using our projects we've set up in not in these, but in Joomla. So we write a lot. We write a lot of our content for our clients. I have in there a prompt that does a QA check, does a quality assurance check. So it goes back through and is like, I want you to read through what did you tell me that was not included in the transcript? And it's amazing. Sometimes it puts stuff in there, your quotes, you're like, did they really say that in the meeting? I don't remember. And then when you ask it, did it really say that point out where it was? It's like, oh, sorry, I just made that up. So you can create a prompt that you save and reuse all the time. That's why I use this tool Joomla, because I can save my prompts in there and reuse them. But anyways, you can make a prompt. You can put it in Notepad or Word and just copy it in if you want. That does a quality assurance check. And by the way, you can use AI to help you create your prompts. That's what we do. So we used to create all our prompts all the time, but now AI is really good at helping you create the prompts too. So you can be like, help me create a really good prompt that will do X, Y, Z. And then it will usually ask you a bunch of questions. You answer them, and it will give you a really great prompt that you can use over and over again. So you can say, you're frequently giving me information that was not in my transcripts, that is not available on the internet, and I need to make sure everything is factually incorrect. Help me create a prompt that I can run after every time you give me information that will check you to make sure that everything is cited and documented, or you will tell me where everything is from, everything, and whatever you want it to do. Do you want it to give you footnotes? Do you want it to just tell you what do you want it to do? And it will create a prompt that you can reuse, and you can run that prompt after every time. Now, I would not just run the prompt and say that everything's okay. I would still check it as a human being.
Thank you. And I know we're coming close to time, but I do want to answer because there's some repeat, or people asking the same one. So people were asking if you wouldn't mind kind of speaking to schema markup. They're still a little bit confused on that. If you could elaborate, like where are they seeing that? What is it again? Thank you.
Yeah. So schema markup, you might also hear it referenced as structured data. Schema markup is like the fields, and the structured data is the information inside the fields, but we use it interchangeably. So structured data / schema markup, what is it? What it is it is coding that's put on your website that humans don't see when they look. It's not visible on your website if you just look at it like this, right? It's visible if you look at the coding of the website. So what it does is it takes your information and puts it in a readable format for computers. These are computers reading your website. Okay. And I use this example a lot. So if you've watched me, excuse me, but I'm going to use this example again. Let me see. Oh, here, this is a good example. So here is a postcard that I got. Okay. I had a data health incident. They broke into my account and have my data. Okay, it's from Yale New Haven Hospital. Okay, so anyways, if I say to you, this is a postcard, where is the stamp? Does everyone know where the stamp is? Everyone knows exactly where the stamp is, because right there, right? Where is the return address? Right there. Where is the address it goes to? Right there. Where's the barcode for them to read it? That is basically schema markup. Okay. Oh, here, look, they're asking you to fill out this form. I have to fill in all these boxes, first name, right? That puts your name and your information into fields that are in certain places so that AI computers can read it better. And so that the post office, if they get this, what if you didn't have a spot to put the stamp or the addresses? One was the return and one was the to. What if you could write it wherever you wanted to? Would any mail get to anywhere it's supposed to go? No, it wouldn't get anywhere because it needs to be in the exact spot so that the people at the post office know where it is, and now the computer scanners know where the information is. If you just write your whole website Most people have done that and not put schema markup on their website. If you just write it, it is the same thing as you filling out a postcard and putting the stamp on the bottom and the addresses wherever you want. Same thing. You're making the computers be like, okay, where is this information? Where is that information? Schema markup takes your content and puts it into fields so that when the computers come by, they can read all this jumble of information on your website that you just put on there, like Score did, right? We just looked at how Score just put all the information on there, right? And your headings and everything else. But then if it also matches, reads the schema markup that should be on it as well, it can say, okay, I understand the schema markup. Whew, I know. These are their services. Does this service match what is on the page? Is this the address? Does it match what is in the footer? This is the phone number of the business. I know from the schema markup because it's in the phone number field. Let me find, is the phone number? Oh, it's on the contact page. Okay, yes, it matches. That is actually it. So schema markup helps take your giant jumble of information and look how people build their websites. They have 15 pages, 145, 2001, and they have information all over, sometimes in the footer, sometimes on the contact page, sometimes on the up page. Like AI has to decipher this. It's really hard. They're computers. When you put schema markup on, it reads it like a form. It's very easy for it to find all the information. So Google search and traditional search cares about some kinds of schema markup. They care about recipe schema markup. Have you ever done a search for a recipe? It looks different, the search results that come back, right? That come back. If I type in chocolate, let's just do, I don't want images, sorry. I want recipe. Okay, we'll just choose this, right? Web. This search results looks different than other search results, doesn't it? I've got stars, I've got 1 hour, I've got the number of ratings, okay? And it looks different, right? It looks different. This is because its schema markup is on these websites, okay? Or if I can do, concert, who's a Taylor Swift, okay? Oh, here. If I come here, well, no, an event, like events in Sarasota, whatever. Let's just put that. Okay. It understands, well, sometimes you get it back in events, like a calendar. It understands, I'm giving you bad examples right now, but it understands events and those types of things in a different way. So it knows the start date, start time, the end time, the location where it is, the description, the cost, all those things are in fields in the back end of the website. It helps AI systems understand it better. Typically, search engines cared only about a certain, like a couple of kinds of schema markup: events, recipes, local business. If you're a local business, you have to have that on your website, by the way. AI also reads service page schema markup, and traditional search doesn't. So you want to put that on your website. And if your SEO agency did not put it on, don't fault them because this is a new thing, but you should put it on. It is not easy to put on. It is confusing. I have someone in my agency who does it. That's what he does. He does that. I let him do it. It is not the simplest thing, and you have to have, there's required fields, and they have to be filled out and populated correctly. It's got to be done correct. Okay. You can't have 2 outputs of local schema markup. Like, there's a lot of rules. So it's not a simple topic, but hopefully you understand what schema markup is, and you definitely want it on your website. It helps with this example, hopefully you understand how it helps AI understand your website and search engines in a better way.
That was an amazing example, analogy. Thank you. And then, we're at time, but I know a couple people had this similar question, if you wouldn't mind answering.
Okay, yeah,
A lot of people were asking, you mentioned that, it's coming to a point where people are probably not going to be reading websites as much. But if that becomes, are you saying that you think they might become obsolete, or where are you anticipating that people are going to be doing their search for when they need business? Is it not going to a website anymore, or is it going to be like an AI?
Okay, this is my prediction. I've not read this anywhere else. This is mine prediction. And I base it off of because I've had multiple predictions correct before. I believe, and I don't know when it's going to be. I believe we're going to need websites, but we're going to need the websites more, it is the way it is now, to train the models. And I think what's going to, this is already happening, you guys. Right now, you can hook up. Do you know about agent mode in ChatGPT? If you go to ChatGPT and, sorry, my thing is, if you go to ChatGPT and you use agent right now, agent mode, I don't have to visit your website. I have a client, I can do this. I can come into agent mode and I'll just say, can you please fill out a contact form on thrivefencing.com um, for for a new fence, vinyl VINYL in my yard in Iowa. Um, my name is Jennifer DeRosa. Oops. Oh, well, it'll go. Anyways, what it'll do in agent mode is I would write more information on there. It is going to open up a browser in agent mode. It is going to go to their website. You can watch it. It's going to fill out the whole form. It's going to send the form to him, and I'm going to get notified by them that we are, see, look at it, it's using it. Why do I need to go to their website? And right now I can hook up with this with booking.com, kayak.com. I can hook up, I believe what we're going to do is use one interface, okay? Like a LLM like this. It's going to connect to our email. It's going to connect to our calendar. It's going to connect. We're going to end up interfacing with one thing, and it's going to do everything else in the back end. I'm just saying from what I'm seeing. I could be totally wrong. So why do I need to go to his website unless I want to see pictures of other fences or I want to read something in specific that I want to do? Okay. But there's no reason for me to go to Thrive Fencing's website right now, and probably not to yours unless you have a portfolio. Because if I can go into agent mode and I can get all the information I want and it can fill out a form on the website, okay, without me interacting at all, I can be off doing, I'm not even looking at this, what is going on, right? And okay, so see, now it wants the email and phone number, which is what I was going to do, 1212 Jennifer at totoseo.com. Okay. And then it's filling out the form for me. And it's asking me, oh, you didn't give me all the information. Let's get the information so I can finish this. Why do I need to go to this website? So, like, this is how I see it. This is how I see it. And I could be totally wrong. But if AI doesn't know about your business, you are not clear and complete and everything about explaining, you have not trained the model on your business. And I didn't know Thrive Fencing. I wanted to do Thrive, I just wanted a fence company. It's going to pick the company to fill out the form that is easiest for it to understand and is going to ignore your company if you haven't done a good job. So this is non-negotiable. This is non-negotiable. If you want your business to go forward, it is non-negotiable. Either decide to do it or shut your business down. But don't waste any more time or energy if you are not going to do this. It is a waste of your time. There is only a couple businesses that are cited each time you in chat. They don't cite all 1,000 blue links. You get 3 or 4. If your website is not in the 3 or 4, then just shut it down. It's hard knocks. It's not fun. But this is the future. It's not even the future. This is the present. I can book plane tickets without visiting any airline site right on this agent mode. I don't have to visit a website. Do you think that this is going to happen less? No, it's going to happen more. So who cares what the website? This is a thing. Yes, I would like you to submit. And it's going to come via the email, and he's going to get the email. I better tell him that was just me. Hopefully.
Well, we are a little over time, but I think this was a great example to show that, a lot of stuff is moving towards ChatGPT and to other AI, and people are going to be doing their searches here a lot of the time, if you can do it in one spot. But Jennifer, before we wrap for the day, is there anything you'd like? And if you wouldn't mind, could we go back to our
Oh, yeah.
presentation?
Yeah, look at that. See, it did it.
Yeah, it did it. So now that person's like, why is Jennifer submitting another one?
I'll tell him here. Oh, here. Do you want this here? So
Yeah. But is there anything before I do wrap up? Is there anything you'd like to end with before we end the webinar?
Well, I think what I just said is I feel very strongly about it. Either make a decision on your business, either do this or don't. But it's not this is not pretend. It's not a like to have. It's not a, well, let me see if I can find someone for $500 to do this for me. We are at a point in the world right now. We are at a point where we as business owners need to make a decision. Am I going to continue doing this or not? And this is, I'm telling you, you can see, like, I hope I explained it clearly. You have to be clear. And so, like, I need to be to you what your website should be to AI. I hope I've explained it clearly that this is what we have to do. You have to train the models. Just think of that. Just think of training the models. I'm going to train the models. I'm going to train the models on my business, the internet. Not, I'm not talking about your own chat GPT. I'm talking about the internet. Train them on your business. Forget about all that stupid stuff about, oh, it needs to look beautiful and I like all this animation. And I mean, it's not stupid. It should still look easy for humans to read because people are still going to websites right now. So I'm not saying no, but what I'm saying is focus on the content. Focus, be clear, be consistent. Okay. Get reviews, work on your EEAT, get brand mentions, have your website structured properly. Don't hire someone for $200 on Fiverr to do it because you get what you pay for. You're wasting your money and you'll have just futile. You'll just waste everything. Don't do it. Put your resources where you want them to go. And then if you've done all the right things, you should start seeing some movement.
Start seeing some results. Well, Jennifer, this was a wonderful information-packed webinar. We sincerely appreciate you giving your time for us today. And everybody, I want to remind you all, SCORE will be sending the recording link as well as this slide deck to your email. So check for that later today once the Zoom recording processes, because you will be able to watch this again, because I know we covered a ton of things. On top of that, as always, because we are also trying to keep up with these AI information, please check out our website because we get a lot of folks like Jennifer who contribute to the material that is on our website. With that being said, I do want to let you know that when you close out, there is a survey at the end of this. It'll pop up in your browser. We would sincerely love your feedback. I know we couldn't get to all your questions, but you can ask questions in there as well. If we can answer them, we will. But if you give us feedback, it sincerely helps us on all of our webinars going forward. And with that being said, it's just the last slide. I just want to remind everyone this was hosted by SCORE North Atlantic. This is Jennifer DeRosa from Toto SEO. And sorry, the next slide just says, I think,
Oh, yeah. Here.
what is it? Oh, yep. And that we are powered by the SBA. Again, if you haven't yet, we highly, highly recommend getting a mentor with us. It is free. They can work with you once, they can work with you for the life of your business. And with that, Jennifer, I want to thank you again for being here and presenting, and for everybody for being here today. We hope to see you at our next webinar. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.